Missing footage, it just all disappears. Okay, so I just wanted to correct this because the footage vanished. Don't ask. A bunch disappeared this week. But I finished in August, sent to me by NetGalley. Thank you, NetGalley, for sending me your review copy because this book is amazing. So Upper Presidential, and it is very good. It's a sapphic age gap romance. It's political, it's well written, it's well structured. There are two adult women that actually act like adult women. Thank you. I can't wait to pick up something else by this author because it's just that well written. It's enjoyable. I did give it 4.75 and yeah, I highly recommend. Again, sorry, I had vlog footage. I had a better review. It's all gone and this video goes out in an hour. So I'm glad I caught that this clip just isn't there anymore. So anyway, yeah, okay.
With more.
And Broken Faith by Mitch Weiss and Holbrook Moore. I think these are both investigative journalists. I'm not sure. I just saw this book recommended to me on Twitter, which is now X. Oof, don't even get me started on that insanity, stupidity of nonsense. And yeah, it's worth it. Definitely read trigger warnings though. Absolutely. Okay, and then I read Fierce Woman, The Power of a Soft Warrior by Kimberly Wagner, something like that. Exclusively because I went to check my Audible and I had it through my Audible subscription until September 1st. So I ended up rapidly reading it and it's terrible. I gave it 1 star. It is hard to describe how terrible it is. Granted, it is not written for me. It is written for like married women, but it is basically like shut up and get in the kitchen and make a sandwich, if I could sum it up. So this is Paradise 1 by David Wellington. I can speak, I really can. And as you can see, I bought a physical copy. I actually bought a physical copy not realizing that I also had it from NetGalley. I knew the cover looks familiar and the title was kind of familiar, but this author has written a ton. So I didn't think much about it until I checked my NetGalley at one point after I bought this book, and I was like, oh. And it definitely is the kind of thing I read. Like I have here, it's a 3.75, mostly because it took me about 4 months to get through. I started reading it in April and I just finished it in August, like the tail end of August, possibly even early September. I don't really remember. It was the middle of the night. But like, it's good. It's definitely sci-fi horror. Not as good as some other stuff in this like subgenre that I've read this year, but good. I don't know if it exactly earns its length because it is almost 800 pages long, but it is truly enjoyable and lots of fun, and the audiobook is very good, which thank you NetGalley for sending me the audiobook for review, because apparently I liked it enough that I bought it without even realizing. So that's fun. Anyway, highly recommend, very good. I know it has like a quote-unquote low rating, but from me, if it's above a 3 or a solid 3, it's generally a good recommendation. Alright, then I have one of the only nonfictions I read this month, which is The 37th Parallel by Ben Meiser, something like that. And this is terrible. I gave it a 2.5. I read this, I was going to do a video on the 37th Parallel. I assumed this was the book explaining the theory about the 37th parallel. Basically, to put it very simply, that a lot of paranormal / extraterrestrial stuff happens on the 37th parallel. What this actually is a biography of this random guy who isn't the author, supposedly. I question that. And it is disjointed in how it's told. It's also exceptionally boring. And truthfully, there isn't much in here. A lot of it is unbelievable. Not as unbelievable as some other memoirs in this like extraterrestrial category I've read before. But yeah, it's not what I was expecting and not actually helpful for research. So that's always disappointing, especially when I read a book specifically for research. This is not the kind of thing I pick up for fun. This is the kind of thing I read for my paranormal channel, and just not my thing. I'll do my only other nonfiction this month, which will have a review up soon, and that is How to Stay a Christian in College by J Budziszewski. I don't know, I'm trying. And this got 2 stars, and there will be a whole in-depth, involved review up on my Christian channel probably next week. Well, it got thrown asunder, and anyway, fully coming back September, this time without fail. And then I finally finished Fellowship of the Ring, which, no surprise, got 5 stars. This is a reread. I hadn't read them since I was in high school. It took me about 3 months to get through this. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get through books right now. Not normally my thing, but whatever. So yeah, by Tolkien. I don't think I need to explain that with the Fellowship of the Ring, because it's the Fellowship of the Ring. So then I have this, which is actually 3 novels in one. So I'm reading Olive Robin Jones Gunn's books for a series on my Christian channel, starting with her young adult books. And I started with the Christy Miller series because I own it. So this is volume 1, which is books 1, 2, and 3. So I read Summer Promise, A Whisper and a Wish, and Yours Forever, all in August. They are not very long. They're only about 100 and some odd pages each. I mean, this book is, the whole thing is only 400 and some odd pages. Not much has changed. I still give, the first book is still my least favorite. If I'm recommending the series to anybody, I'm saying skip the first book, go to book 2. The first book, not enough happens and it all gets recapped in book 2. Trust me, the first book is not worth reading. So the first book, which is Summer Promise, has a 2. It has had a It has had a 2 since I read it the first time years ago. This is my 2nd or 3rd time reading the whole series. But 2, first book has had a 2 for forever. It's actually the reason I didn't go on. I'm not the type who's like, oh, if the first book is terrible, just push through. Not generally something that I do, but that's what I would say. Which is so bizarre because it immediately gets better in book 2. Book 2 has a 3. Book 2 has had a 3 since the first time I read the whole series. It's good, it's solid, it's very, very... Apparently, these 3 books are supposed to be more on the middle grade end, and then after that they're supposed to be more on the young adult end. That explains so much. Because these read much more young adult, much more middle grade than YA. There we go. I got the sentence out. Again, it's my day off. Yeah, for the most part, that's how I felt about that. And then book 2 gets a 3, which is, it's had since I read it the first time. It's such an improvement. Stuff actually happens. Christy is actually a believable teenager. Again, these books were originally written in the 80s and early 90s, so keep that in mind when you're reading them, because there's a lot of teenagers writing letters back and forth. Something that just would not happen today. So there's that going on. Not that I don't think it's cool, the idea of like handwriting letters back and forth, it's just not something that would happen today. So there's that. These are very innocent. These are very sweet. These are very Christian. So just keep that in mind if you go to read them. And then book 3 actually has bumped up. So it's bumped up to a 3.5. It was a 3 for many years, but going back and rereading it kind of less through a cynical lens. Because the first time I read these, I read them through a very cynical lens. I will be the first to admit that. But going back and rereading book 3, it is much better. Every book improves after that point. I think there's only one other 2-star one in the entire series other than book 1. So yeah, so I completed this and I did mark them as 3 books instead of 1, just for clarity of this kind of stuff and the vlog itself. So yeah, that's, oh crap, I dropped a sticky. So that is everything I read in August. I almost said November. Oh god, that's everything I read in August. September is going to be a whole lot more. I have a crazy big TBR that I have to get through. There's not a whole lot of choice there. So yeah. Alright, I will see you guys later in the next one, and tell me what you're reading down below. Of course, all of the links are in the dungeons directly below for everything I read, whether I like it or I don't. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these, what you thought, your feelings, your opinions, blah blah blah, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.